My stump is called Socky, or Mr. Socky.
I got a really good party trick. You can just spin it all the way around.
I theoretically have no height ceiling. Like, I can be as tall as I want to be.
1 foot in the grave, haven't got a leg to stand on.
I've really put my foot in it.
If someone said to me, I can grant you a wish of giving you 2 hands, I would say, nah, jog on.
I have been known to exaggerate what happened.
His brother's a bad guy, and he actually cut his hand off with a machete.
You know, saving a bus full of school children.
You've got a robot leg. What happened? So I'll tell him a shark bit it and, make a big story out of it.
All the little kids are like, oh, it's Iron Man.
Christmas 2012, we went to a pub, we had a couple of pints. I walked home, and halfway home, a drunk driver who's doing about 70 miles an hour in a 30 zone, he lost control, hit me. My right leg was torn off by the car, left leg was crushed and shattered.
I was carrying aircraft parts up a flight of stairs, got my foot trapped, fell. I took a chip out of a bone in my ankle. I developed a nerve condition. The slightest touches were incredibly painful. I looked at where I could be with a prosthetic. I was ready to say, I'm ready to have my leg taken off.
In 2009, I hit a telephone post at 90 miles an hour on a motorbike. I broke every bone on the right side of the body. I shattered the pelvis, shattered the collarbone, fractured the lower back, punctured both lungs, tore a kidney, and tore the nerves in my arm straight out of the spine.
So I was born with Amelia. When I was younger, no one really knew what it was. I've got a little bit of the wrist, and I have little tiny fingers that do nothing, but as I like to call it, this is my little hand. I don't call it a stump.
I don't remember the accident. I can't imagine it's a very happy memory. It's a memory I'm quite happy to do without. When I woke up, my mum was there by the bed. She said to me, oh, you've been in an accident, you're in hospital, you've got no legs. And apparently I just sort of looked down and went, yep, cool. What am I supposed to say to that? Oh no, I'd like them back. Well, you can't have them back. I do remember saying it in all earnestness. I said, is my tackle okay? For a long time, post-accident, I didn't like the way I looked. I probably thought that if I was going on a date, the girl I was going on a date with would be like, oh, that guy's an amputee, that's weird. I don't want to go on a date with him, I don't want to be seen with him or anything. It's been difficult to get over. Probably 6 years later, I've mostly got past it. Dating using apps is an advantage. I have never put a photo of me in my entirety as my first photo. I don't blame someone for making a snap judgment if they see a photo of a disabled person first. I think it'd be really easy to just not click on that profile. I have no legs. It is in many ways my defining feature. But at the same time, I would like people to consider me before they know that. The guy that hit me, my attitude has always been, if he learnt anything from it, he learnt it the second he learnt what he did. And if he didn't, then no amount of jail or punishment or me being resentful is gonna make him learn that. So why on earth would I be resentful? Resenting someone is like drinking poison and expecting that person to die. It doesn't do you any good.
My limb difference was elective. I chose to be this way. I had the accident on the 30th of October 2013, and it was years before I had the amputation. When I was originally injured, I could never rest my right leg on anything because of the pain I'd get. I had physio to try and get better, and I wasn't getting anywhere. My best friend would come and visit, and he'd have my daughter up on his shoulders. They'd be running around all over the place, and it broke my heart. In my head, I'm like, it should be me doing that. I want to chase my daughter. I want to annoy her and steal something from her and make her chase me. And when I made my decision to take my leg off, that was in the forefront of my mind. It was an obvious choice. I had my amputation, and this is where I am now. People will look sort of sideways, that they don't want to make it obvious that they're looking at you. You can ask me if you want, or you can touch it if you want. I'm not ashamed and I'm not afraid.
In my school, I was the first child to actually have a limb difference. When you're a young child, you don't really notice it. You don't really know you've got these differences. And the older I got, the more I realized, oh, I am different. This is strange. People would not maybe say something, but it was the look of like shock on their faces, like, he's got an arm off. And then more and more people would point it out, making me feel like weird and secluded from everybody. I used to get a little bit bullied, especially during football. A lot of the kids would say, well, you can't be a goalie because you've only got one hand. I generally just felt like a freak, and that's a very strong word to use, but I was bullied out of my football team. I think it was some kids would bully me because they'd never seen someone with a missing limb. They just felt because I was different that they must make me feel like crap to make themselves feel better. I would hide my hand a lot as a teenager, especially. Dating, very awkward. I was so scared of the shock of what people would say about my arm. It was always the build-up in my head that made things worse, and then actually at the end of it I was like, oh, actually, things are all right. I don't know why I panicked in the first place.
The leg was amputated a few months after the accident. They tried saving it, they did the best. I was in hospital for a year and 3 or 4 months. And once I got home, I was in a wheelchair. I didn't like the terms disabled and stump and amputation, all that. It was a hard time. I wasn't the nicest of people to be around. Depression, obviously. Everybody around you starts moving on. That hits you hard. I was doing stupid things, fell out with people. You know, it was that bad. I felt that alone, that separated, that angry and mad. It was like, well, that's how I will feel if I don't accept it. I always wanted to get out of the chair. I was very adamant on learning to walk. When I look in the mirror, it's quite difficult, admittedly. I train, obviously, bodybuilding and fitness. Although I know how off balance I am, I know how I'd like to look and could look. And I know the sort of goals physically I could achieve if I sort of wasn't put in this situation.
I've only recently got my leg, so I'm still getting used to everything. Even the pain, it's new. I know there's a lot of unknown and uncertainty about prosthetics. I want to clear a few things up and sort of share my experiences.
Being an amputee, going through rehab and meeting other amputees is really interesting. It's important to talk about issues that people probably wouldn't normally come into contact with. I would have had no idea what it was like to be an amputee or what it was like to think like an amputee before this, and I think it's nice to talk about that.
3, 2, 1. I got hit by a drunk driver 6 years ago. And, you know, since then, it's been quite a long time, but I've been on and off prosthetics quite a lot.
I've been injured since 2013, but I've only been an amputee for 6-ish months now.
Is this the solution now? Has it worked?
Yeah, massively. It's going to be hard work. And I've got a daughter who is the fastest thing I've ever met. She does not stop.
And so you've got to keep up?
I can keep up with her better than I could before. For you, how do you cope when you're having a nightmare day?
When you wake up and you're having one of those days, I'll go, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to put my legs on. They're going to be sore. And, you know, this is 6 years later, I'm still having to face that. But the world isn't going to wait for you. Like you're saying, you've got a 7-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't care. She's too young. And so the world makes the choice for you. Have you stubbed your toe yet? Your non-existent toe?
No.
Oh, wait.
No.
Or it'll hurt.
Don't.
For a split second, it hurts.
Really?
For a split second, it's real. I was in hospital for 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I had horrendous phantom limb pain. It was the most unpleasant thing I've ever been through in my life. It was awful.
I'd rather live with the phantom pains than what I was getting before, because the phantoms, for me at least, they come and go really quickly.
There's a few things that are just pure entertainment. The whole world of leg-related comedy. You know, one foot in the grave, haven't got a leg to stand on.
I've really put my foot in it. The best thing out of this whole process was meeting someone like you, seeing somebody do something that I may be worried I'm not going to be able to do. Whether I can do it or not, your motivation for me now. You've sort of set a standard. That's going to help me, without a doubt.
Well, thanks for saying that. I'm going to want a family at some point. Is it even a sensible thing for someone in my position to do?
Yeah.
And to hear, you know, the fact that you've got a daughter and you can still keep up. You know, it's really nice to hear that. The way my prosthetics work is I have a hard outer socket like this. If I take it off and stand it up, I have a silicone liner which just peels down. I'm quite lucky, actually. I'm a through knee, which means I can actually bear weight through the end of my stump.
That is my foot and socket. This is my liner. This is the soft bit between me and the hard carbon fibre.
3 joints in the knee that allow it to completely freely move. A spring in the foot, which helps compel you forward. I always said with the leg I didn't want it to look real because I didn't want it to try and look what it wasn't.
This fits only my arm, so turn it on. It's actually using the muscles in my arm, so how you would be doing that is how I can close, and if I do that, it opens.
These ribs here push the air, and then that vacuum holds it onto your leg. So my 3 assistive devices would be full-size prosthetics, these are small prosthetics, and a wheelchair. The tall legs are, for me, the hardest ones to use by far. It's no small reason for me using my smaller prosthetics, which are easier to balance on, more than I use the taller ones. I just don't feel confident enough to go and do a lot of the things on the taller prosthetics because I'm worried about falling over and everyone staring. I don't like people seeing me vulnerable. I don't feel disabled when I'm in a wheelchair, but ironically, I get treated as if I'm disabled in every sense.
I had people coming up to me, whoever's pushing, I'll speak to them, how's he doing? It made me feel very little, very like I wasn't there.
I've had my change handed to my sister when I'm out shopping instead of handed to me because apparently someone in a wheelchair can't deal with their own money.
I was carrying my bag today. I get up to get off the train and someone picks it up for me. You can ask me and I might let you, but I don't need you to do it.
The more awkward thing is that I'm left-handed, so people shake with their right. I would try and shake upside down with my left arm, and people would be like, that's really weird.
I'm a normal person, I just happen to be a bit different.
I wouldn't say there was necessarily a turning point, it just slowly started taking steps in the right way. I set myself goals. I have done a disabled category in bodybuilding, and I'm just getting into sprinting now with the goal of the Paralympics.
A couple of years ago, I started helping open Bionics. I was already into futuristic stuff, and this is all 3D printed. I guess it's because I wanted a bionic arm, but I didn't have any way of going about getting one, and they're being expensive back when I was a kid. I've been testing these arms for a while now, and I'm just fascinated by the technology, and I'm just one of those lucky guys that gets to wear one of these on a daily basis.
I started looking at prosthetics and doing a master's in bioengineering at Imperial College. There's a lot of work still to do to bring a prosthetic limb to the point of replicating a biological limb, and I find that really interesting. You know, as an added bonus, you get to feel like you're helping people.
This is what I've been working for the past 2-3 years. The favourite part of my body is my prosthetic. It is my body now. Having it has given me my life back. I see me as the person that I was before all this, but I also see me now, and it makes you think about what I'm capable of.